What sets me apart from the incumbent is that I believe that providing wraparound services to the client is integral to the role of being the public defender. It is important to recognize the social factors that bring our clients into the microscope and lens of the criminal legal system. In addition, I believe the public defender needs to stay connected to the communities that the public defender serves, and not just when the public defender needs an endorsement. I also would create minimum standards of promotion and elevation, and would not just hand out salaried positions to people who lack the actual work experience. In addition, I think drafting clear written guidelines for promotion to management level positions is essential, because otherwise the process of promotion becomes abused and can be just handed out to people who you feel like you or support you. And that's what's happening now, and I intend to return the Public Defender's Office to the Jeff Adachi model of community leadership and building strength from within, not top down. The public defender has an integral role to public safety, and that is because the public defender is connected to the communities in ways that the district attorney and the police department and the mayor's office are not. So I watched Jeff Adachi for 16 years as he led the public defender's office, and I saw and learned from him how important it is for the public defender to remain involved in the community. I would continue that community outreach. And I believe that the public defender also has a role to reach out to other partners in the criminal legal system to find areas of agreement where we can work together to not only increase public safety, but to increase the public's need for services and the public's understanding that government agencies are there to serve its citizenry. They're not there simply to elevate politicians to these wealthy, lofty positions. So I believe in working together, even with my opponent on the other side of the courtroom. It is important that we make the criminal legal system as fair and as efficient as we possibly can, and we're not going to be able to do that unless we work together. I believe that focusing on vanity projects and creating top-heavy management structures is counterproductive to getting work done and to building strength and camaraderie within the office. When junior attorneys are elevated to positions over senior attorneys, and when the junior attorneys lack the actual experience needed to guide and mentor the attorneys they are supervising, dissension follows, and the cohesiveness of the office structure will disappear. And that is what has happened over the last 3 years in the public defender's office. There is some sort of belief that a revolution is needed, and that people with 20 years or more of experience trying cases, managing clients, dealing with all different aspects of the court system and the office itself is not valuable. Let's just throw that out and start with people who don't know anything. This has created chaos, and it is why the public defender's office is in the position it is in right now, with burgeoning caseloads, one of the lowest felony rotations in memory. I was in the public defender's office for over 18 years, and I have never seen caseloads be as high as 110 for the felony trial attorneys, which is where it is now. This is not being treated as an emergency and as the crisis that it represents for clients being represented by public defenders who are handling upwards of 75 cases in the courtroom. Instead, the incumbent has created this top-heavy management structure going from 11 managers to 19 managers without increasing the actual staff doing the work. These are the upside down conditions that I would reverse and correct when elected to be the public defender of San Francisco. So currently, the public defender has blamed the court for the skyrocketing caseloads in its own office. In fact, this is diverting attention from where the real problem lies. The real problem lies is that the public defender has not properly staffed the felony unit or the misdemeanor unit. And so attorneys are working under crushing caseloads that are unsustainable in the long run, and they cannot get cases prepared and ready for trial. So the trial backlog is now enormous. While the incumbent wants to blame this on the pandemic is only 25 to 30% responsible for what's happening in the public defender's office now with respect to caseloads. There are too many managers who are not carrying cases, and these managers are commanding top salaries, upwards of $240,000, but they cannot carry cases. 3 of them haven't tried a felony case ever. 1 has tried a felony case, but the last time she did a felony jury trial was 38 years ago. So it is important to understand that the misplacement of the scarce resources accorded to the public defender's office is directly impacting the quality of representation. And clients are falling through the cracks. Attorneys are taking vacations and making remote appearances and acting as if they're on the clock, getting paid as if they're on the clock. Morale has plummeted. The paralegal unit is down from 15 or 16 paralegals to 9 because so many paralegals have left under the current administration and they're not being replaced. And I could similarly say this for the felony unit. There's been a huge departure of felony attorneys without them being replaced. So the public defender's office is in crisis, and that is why I am running. It is not a crisis of my own making. It is not a crisis of my own definition. I was asked to run by over a dozen people in the felony trial unit who told me, if you don't run, we will find somebody who will. We cannot keep working under this current administration. This is really important. I would treat the skyrocketing caseloads that felony attorneys are carrying. Some are carrying over 100 cases right now. I would treat that as an immediate emergency and would put into play all the resources available to me to increase the felony rotation unit to the number it needs to be. Jeff Adachi kept it at a minimum of 36, and when I was his felony manager over a 6-year period, I pushed him to get the felony rotation up to 40, and he did it. It was hard to sustain at 40, basically due to leaves, maternity leaves, and other factors, but 36 is the minimum. The last I checked this summer, the felony rotation is at 31 attorneys. That is 5 less than is needed, which basically means approximately 300 cases that would be carried by these other 6 attorneys or 5 attorneys have been distributed amongst the attorneys who are already bearing up under unsustainable caseloads, which affects quality of representation. And that is why I am running. I am running to restore the public defender's office to the model that it was across the country that was established by Jeff Adachi. Okay, people, 98% of the people who are homeless don't want to be homeless. And most of them have mental health issues. I would say approximately somewhere between 50 and 65% have mental health issues, okay, that are untreated or poorly treated. And so the city absolutely has a role in providing the essential services to help people who are unable to fully care for themselves. And these people inevitably end up in the public defender's office and under our care. And so, of course, the public defender has a role in addressing the crisis on our streets. Absolutely has a role. And when elected, I would reach out and work with all the justice partners to address the social crises affecting the streets of San Francisco. It is very bad right now. And we have the money to deal with it. We have the resources to deal with it. We have the brain power to deal with it. It's just that people aren't working together. And people are not sitting down at the table and finding places of commonality, of agreement, and saying, let's work here. And then there are always places where we're going to have to agree to disagree. But we can do that respectfully and professionally and still provide the essential services to San Franciscans, both the San Franciscans who are living on the street and the San Franciscans who are housed, who are beset with the problems of mental illness and homelessness. This is long past due, the time to deal with these issues. Long past due. When I was working as a public defender, carrying cases, I had the experience of getting people out of custody. And I knew from my years of working as a public defender and in private practice as a criminal defense attorney that they would be released to the street earliest 10 p.m. and some as into the wee hours of the morning, 1 and 2 in the morning. And so what I saw from years of doing this work was that my clients were getting released to the street during an hour when there's no muni, they have no money, they can't pay for a cab. Particularly for my homeless clients, they don't have family support, somebody to pick them up regardless of the hour and bring them to a safe place. And my clients who were getting released to the street were getting either attacked or were drifting back into the milieu where they were familiar and comfortable with and ended up using drugs again, or shoplifting. So I started working with the court and the jail to not release particularly my female clients after 7 p.m. at night. The judges were willing to work with me when I explained to them what I had witnessed and the problems that I had seen my clients experiencing. The worst thing for a public defender is to get a client released only to have them be back in jail 1 or 2 days later because they've shoplifted again. So I believe that for the safety of our clients, for the safety of the streets of San Francisco, we need to only do releases between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And I would work with the sheriff's department to make that a reality, and with the courts. It would require the cooperation of the court and the San Francisco Sheriff's Department. And for safety purposes, I believe this is an achievable goal.